Hello, Chinook and Steelhead members. Bob Reese with the Guides Forecast. Thanks for listening to our forecast for tomorrow, Monday, August 16th. We're better than 2 weeks into the Buoy 10 fishery, and the Chinook are definitely in. As you might have heard from the report, fishing was best on low slack, down there in the lower end near Buoy 10, Buoy 11. Get into that in a minute. You're going to be greeted tomorrow morning with about 2 hours of incoming tide, and it's not a strong tide. So, as we mentioned in yesterday's forecast, gonna be tough to find some biters. As Buzz Ramsey had indicated in our webinar, that a medium push means that fish are not going to go that far up into the estuary. They're going to come in, they're going to ride the tide, but it's not, we're coming off a stronger tide series where we did a lot of hover fishing. That may not be the appropriate thing to do for these softer tides. So you got to change the strategy up, I think probably the better bet, and this is going to be definitely a wild card scenario, but if I was to fish the river tomorrow, I am going to the ocean, because the ocean is going to be flat, really flat, for one more day before it really bucks up. But I would try an upstream troll starting on Desdemona Tongue, down lower by Buoy 20, Buoy 21. Maybe do the tongue troll, upstream tongue troll, to see if some of those fish are coming up on the shallower sands from the deep water. But doing a deep water upriver troll is not a bad idea either. I think if you stem into it on an incoming tide, you might make some headway going downstream, but I think the better bet is to actually try and troll upstream in the deep water, and suspend some baits if you have a lot of rods to work with. But really stick down closer to the estuary versus above the bridge. I just don't think a lot of fresh biters are going to get pushed up above the bridge in the morning. It's just become common practice to shoot over and target fish on that incoming tide above the bridge, which is a good idea on stronger tides. We just don't have that strong tide tomorrow. So you might try some hover fishing around Hammond. There has been some activity at high slack around Hammond just before high slack. So, the Hammond hover might be one of the better bets from the get-go in the morning. There could be some fish in the deep water, the shipping channel there. And frankly, I've got more faith in the Oregon side on a soft tide at Hammond and Warrenton than I do on the Chinook side of the river. But stick with what you got confidence in. Fish could easily be working their way upstream in the deep water, lower end of Blind Channel, in front of the Chinook wing jetties. There's a lot of 50 and 55 foot water over there. And stratify the baits and hold on that last part of incoming tide, the soft tide. And then high slack, I don't think is going to be that meaningful tomorrow. First part of outgoing tide, there should be some fish both on the Oregon and Washington side. Again, it may be best that you stick to the mid estuary to target them on the first part of outgoing tide. That might be from trolling the shipping channel or in 35 foot of water along Desdemona Sands, either on the Oregon or the Washington side. Keep the baits on the bottom. Troll fast enough to make sure your baits are spinning there. There's not going to be a lot of water exchanging in the estuary. And see if you can get some biters. But again, it's happened 2 days in a row. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen a third day in a row, but it seems like the best bet is to get down there and we like these softer tides. Those are the ones we tend to book our longtime customers on. We're coming into that type of tide series. You're going to have prolonged opportunity. There's going to be a lot of time in tomorrow's softer tide where you're not going to be trolling faster than 4 miles an hour. So use that to your advantage and cover a lot of water. Don't be afraid to troll fast. You got to troll fast to keep those skateboards, those pro trolls, really thumping away. So you just want to make sure they're somewhere down in the zone. Certainly they'll chase a pro trolled bait or spinner up from the bottom a little more than just a naked bait or even a flasher that's rigged in line. they'll come chase those a little more often is what the belief is. So you can bring them up from the bottom, but you still got to be relatively close so they can see the gear. So fish them deep, and you know, do the upstream and downstream troll, and but stick to the middle estuary there for your best success. But do make sure you're down close to buoy 11, the Chinook wing jetties, and even even the red line in front of Social Security Beach at the last part of outgoing tide should be really good options tomorrow. We're right in the meaty part of the Chinook migration right now. That's becoming very clear. There should be a pile of salmon come in tomorrow as well. So good day to fish, good day to skip work, and come get them. Now again, I actually have 2 trips tomorrow. I'm gonna do an early morning foray offshore and see if I can get a boatload of coho and maybe luck into a couple Chinooks like we did today. Fishing to the north is going to be your best bet. And you know, start. There were boats today that caught fish between buoy 3 and buoy 1, right on the green line there. So you know, you might not have to travel far to get some biters. Yesterday it was even better in that area, right on the green line. So you know, you may not want to run too far. Check out the activity there, buoy 1 and buoy 3, before you scoot up north. But your next option would be about the 17 line, which is really due west of the lighthouse on the Long Beach Peninsula there, not far from Cape Disappointment. And stick to the 65 to 80 foot of water. Should be a lot of coho, bitey coho in there tomorrow. And then hopefully you don't have to travel so far north. We did first thing this morning up to the 21 line, which is off the condos up there. You know, use that as a last resort. And you know, you guys know these coho, they're going to let you know if they're ready and willing in the first 5 minutes of trolling. So you know, you're going to know if you're amongst a good number of coho if you're trying to get a quick limit and get it done early. You'll know in the first 10, certainly 10 or 15 minutes of trolling whether you're in a fishy spot. So but just hopscotch your way up north. You might get lucky and find all your fish close and not have to travel very far. But another day of dreamy ocean conditions, so take advantage of it. Good luck, and we'll come to you tomorrow with a report and another forecast. Thanks again for being subscribers.